everybody.
Hello.
Day 27 of lockdown in our hotel. Flo's here. Today we haven't got any sort of main news. Still on for the flight a week today. So fingers crossed. That's good.
Going on the website, checking every day and make sure it hasn't been cancelled.
And we're checking on the flight radar app of other flights sort of coming in and going out, and they all seem to be the ones that are scheduled are confirmed that are sort of still going in and going out, so that seems to be okay. We thought we'd say a little bit for the people who are just joining us or have found us in the last few days, sort of the story so far, really.
Yeah, a bit of a recap on how we got
so you
here.
don't have to go back through everything, but basically we left England on the 5th of March, and when before we left, we checked all the Foreign Office sites. We spoke to everybody that knew about these things, and they said,
with the airline.
Yeah, and they said yes, there's no problem flying to the Philippines.
Yeah, you're safe to travel abroad.
At the time, I think there were under 10 cases here. I'm not sure if it was 3 or 5, but it was very low. The cases here. There were a few more in the UK actually than there were here.
As they still are.
When we arrived, we were heat checked, have to go through a heat sensor, and anybody who had a temperature, they were sort of pulling aside, and I don't know what happened, whether they had to go in quarantine or go home or whatever. I don't know. But so we they were checking you when you came in. When we got here, it was fairly normal. There was a feeling about the place. There were more people with masks on than there would normally be, although a lot of them were wearing them as sort of chin warmers down here, which was quite funny. And there was a little bit of an atmosphere, but it wasn't really much different from the other years when we've been here. We spent time with the family, and went to karaoke, and then we started on our road trip. We'd already decided early on in the year that we weren't going to get any flights down to any of the islands. We were going to drive north, further than we'd ever been north before, because we'd only ever been to San Fernando, La Union before, and we were going to drive up past where we'd been before. We were going to stop in Vigan, which is a Spanish colonial town with horses and carts and nice old buildings and things, and then further on, eventually ending up in Pagudpud, which is, they call it the Boracay of the North. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And when we did get there, it was beautiful. The beaches were fantastic, but it was very quiet. There was nobody there. By that weekend when we arrived in Pagudpud, Metro Manila had been shut down. So any of the Marineros who might go up there for the weekend weren't there, so it was very quiet. We only had one night in Pagudpud, because the next lunchtime rather, they came round and they said to us, "We're really sorry, please could you pack your bags and go, because we're shutting the town." And when we left, they opened barriers at the entrance. There was one road in, one road out to this particular place. They opened the barriers, let us out. They weren't letting anybody in. We had a 12-hour drive back here. We stopped a couple of times on the way to sort of switch drivers, go to the toilet, eat something, that type of thing. We did stop in San Fernando on the way back in La Union in the McDonald's to have crispy chicken and rice. And it was weird because there was no traffic. Normally it's nose to tail, lots of lights, lots of people milling around, lots of horns beeping. And we could park right outside the McDonald's, which you can't normally. It's just a nightmare there. So that was a bit weird. And then when we got back to the hotel, we got back here about 2 o'clock, I think it was, in the morning.
Something like that, yeah.
We had pizza, yum yum,
yeah.
And went to sleep. And then the next morning we got up, we came out to sit around the pool. And when we were sitting at one of the tables at the side of the pool, the manager here, lovely man, Mr. Christian, came and said that he was really, really sorry, but because of the community quarantine, we were going to have to go back to the room and stay in the room. And that was, 26, 27, 28, probably 28 days ago now. And then from there, we heard that the government had given all foreigners 72 hours to leave, which set us into a mad panic, absolute mad panic. We phoned Emirates, eventually got through to the Emirates office in Manila, and the lady there said, no, don't be silly. Our flights are still going to be flying. You don't have to change your booking. It's fine. Because our original booking was on the 27th of March, and at this point, I think we were on I can't remember the exact dates, but maybe the 17th, 18th of March, something like that. Phoned my insurance company, thinking that if Emirates wouldn't automatically change the tickets, then maybe the insurance company could do something. And she said, no. She said, we haven't had any instructions from
IATA.
Is it IATA?
IATA, she said, yeah.
Okay, yeah, she said, no, we haven't had any instructions from IATA. You're perfectly fine to stay where you are and get your scheduled flight that you've already booked onto. Then, in the morning, the government reversed their decision and said, no, it's okay, if you're a foreigner, you can fly out any time on a flight that you've already got booked. So we thought, okay, fine.
Sigh of relief.
Sit tight, reel everything in. In the meantime, I did message Emirates on Twitter and on Facebook and said, please reassure us, and if you think we need to get on an earlier flight, please could you change our tickets, because they had already said that we could change for free.
Yeah.
Most airlines did that at the start of the sort of mass closure everywhere in the world. So we did message them, and they kept reassuring us, no, it's fine, your flight will be fine on the 27th. And then about 3 days before, they cancelled our flights. They didn't actually tell us they cancelled our flights. It just, when we checked on the app, first of all, our Dubai to London leg had just disappeared off the app. It wasn't there. They didn't cancel it, it just wasn't there. And then the day after that, they announced that they were shutting down all flights in and out of Dubai on the 25th of March, and our flight was on the 27th. We did then get my mum to phone Emirates in the UK, because by that time there was no getting through to the Emirates office here.
No, they weren't responding to phone calls, emails, Twitter, anything.
And the lady in the Emirates office in London, I had to actually stop my mum talking to her in the end, because I thought my mum was, I don't know, going to drive up to the Emirates office and shout at her in person.
Yeah,
she was very unhelpful. She told my mum there was nothing she could do, and there was no flights they could put us on, and there was nothing they could do, and that was the end of it. There was no leeway, she didn't even say, when this is all over, we'll get them on the first flight that we can. She didn't say anything. She just said, there's nothing I can do. We're stopping operations. We won't be able to fly them home, and that's the end of it. So then that was what started this of us being stuck here. And we have looked at flights. We've looked at all sorts of different flights, and flights they've come down a lot since the sort of the beginning and times where they were up to sort of £5,000-6,000 a flight.
Yeah, only things that it was Qatar Airways that was flying anywhere, and their tickets when the quarantine first started were, as Eva said, about £5,000 to £6,000 each one way to the UK, which normally they're £300-400.
Yeah.
So that's just ludicrous.
In the last few days, a couple of other places have started to allow transit, like Bahrain have started to allow transit, as long as your transit isn't more than sort of 24 hours in their airports.
Yeah.
So we did notice a flight left today from Gulf Air that nobody was sure it was going to go ahead or not, because if people were booking it through Gulf Air, it was still £1,000-ish. But there were tickets available on lastminute.com that were £240 or something, and people were like, I don't want to book it.
Because a lot of people have been bitten where they've booked tickets and they've been cancelled.
Yeah.
They've booked tickets for flights that don't actually exist, and the ticketing agent will take the money and they're not refund it.
Yeah. Or they will eventually refund it, but that's your credit card tied up.
So we went on to Qatar Airways and found the closest, best, reasonably priced ticket home, which was on the 19th of April, flying from Clark, which is only a 15-minute drive away from it. In fact, we can see it from our
window,
from our hotel room, and that was about, I think, £750, which is still twice what you would normally pay, but needs must.
That's what you pay for a return normally.
Yeah. Then a few days after that was booked and confirmed on the app again. It came up as being not confirmed. So we're like, okay, what's going on here? It turns out that they then were closing Clark International Airport. Therefore, our flights weren't going ahead as part of the enhanced emergency community quarantine thing, which was due to finish on the 14th. So
Ooh, rain.
we were
Lots of
trying
rain.
to get
Sorry,
hold of
raining outside.
Qatar Airways. Again, they weren't responding to phone calls. We couldn't find anything that we could do. So we ended up direct messaging them on, was it Twitter or Facebook? One of those. And they got back to us, and we sort of conversed with them through that. They were very helpful, very good.
We phoned their desk at
Oh
Manila
yes, we
Airport
phoned
as
the
well.
desk at Manila Airport as well, see if they could help, but they said no, you have to do it through the app and messaging. And we managed to change our booking from Clark to Manila main airport.
No extra cost.
No extra
They
cost.
were
Same
very, very
day, same
helpful.
time, same date.
Yeah.
They were great. They
They
really
were
were
really
great.
great. Yeah.
So still the 19th, but we're still
I
watching
think they
the
will
app.
be our future flight choice.
Yes, I think we're probably going to be dumping Emirates now and going with these. Yeah, so checking the app every day to make sure the flight hasn't been cancelled, is still booked. And we're hearing people who have got previous flights with Qatar that everything's fine. So fingers crossed that's what's going to happen.
And what we have heard as well is if for any reason that particular flight is cancelled, they will put us on the next available flight or the flight the day before, or whichever one's going, because I know that some airlines, they might normally have 2 or 3 flights a day, and now they're sort of condensing them down to 1 or 2 flights a week.
Yeah.
And so they, they have reassured us that don't worry, that, but then again, we have heard that before from Emirates.
Yes, and Emirates said that, and then they just dumped us here. So.
But I'm sure Qatar are going to go, and it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a sort of little catch up
Yeah,
and brush
a
up.
pocket
So this
history.
is quite a long video now, but we didn't really have anything much to say, so I thought we'd be best off
No new news.
telling people. Have had a couple of comments, very unhelpful comments, when things have been shared in the UK with, well, what did they blooming go for in the first place? They should have
You
known.
shouldn't have been travelling.
And if anybody out there does feel like that and would like to lend me their crystal ball for the next time we go away, nobody could have predicted the global shutdown of everything, especially when we came here, there were hardly any cases here, and the UK wasn't even that bad either.
Even a couple of weeks in, the UK was still saying, oh, it's fine. Boris said, have a sing-song while you wash your hands, The pubs are still open, get takeaway. But, no one could have foreseen how quickly this all escalated.
And especially here, and I'm not saying they've done the wrong thing at all. I think they've done the perfectly right thing for the country because they don't want to put stress on their health system.
Yes.
So I do think
And
they have done the right thing with shutting everything down.
And they're already fragile
So
economy.
don't think
well.
I'm saying that I think they've done it wrong here, because I think they've done it better than we have at home, to be honest. But nobody could predict it, so comments like that are really unhelpful to us and to anybody else stuck out here, especially as some of the people who are stuck out here on some of the islands, they've been backpacking a while. Some of them, they left home last August and
Yeah.
they've been backpacking through Southeast Asia. So you can't say to them, why were you still there at the beginning of March? Because nobody could have predicted this.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm being distracted by the torrential
Yeah,
rain that's
it
going
is.
on outside.
True,
It's
true.
incredible. Let's have a look.
Let's turn it round.
Yeah, turn it around it. Can you see? Blimey, see the guttering over there just pouring out. Oh, what a flow finally gets it into her own. Yes. About time too. Yes. Wow, who would have thought it? Oh, here we go, yeah. Now she's posing with her umbrella. Mary blooming Poppins.
Yeah, that's wet.
Yeah. I think we're going indoors. So probably no swimming today.
No.
But there you go.
But good news, good news.
Yeah. Maybe some good news.
No, it is good news because I phoned and checked.
Oh yes, you did, yes.
This morning we saw smoke coming out the pizza oven chimney. Pizza's back on for dinner tonight.
Yes, finally we get something a bit different to eat.
Yeah, not that the pancit that we've been having most nights or the sweet and sour is not really good.
No,
but
the food is lovely.
Sometimes you just fancy something different.
Yeah.
Cheese, melted cheese.
Anchovies, pineapple.
No anchovies.
Anchovies and pineapple.
Right. Bye,
Okie
guys.
dokie.
Love
See
you
everybody. Take care. Look after yourselves. Keep exercising and keep washing those hands. Bye.
Bye.